Right, we are here then with Jez.
Hello.
Who is playing a character in the Heresy campaign. Who are you playing?
My character is a kleptomaniac thief called Kizdean Gix.
Okay, it's a female, isn't it?
She's a female. The name came from EverQuest, which was my first real gaming love, I suppose.
Right.
Anyone that has ever played EverQuest will know that Kizdean Gix was a particularly hated dark elf in the Commonlands, who seemed to have an aggro range of like half the zone. And if Gix didn't like you, he would come thundering out of the distance and drop you where you stood. So it's just a memorable name.
You've obviously played computer games as well.
Yes.
Have you had much experience with role-play games before?
Very few. Occasional sort of D&D, that sort of thing. My main background, I think, probably comes from computer games. I played Diablo for longer than I care to imagine. Years and years. And then EverQuest, again, those that play it, I was in a guild. We got up to raiding the ethereal planes. And then EverQuest 2, and then WoW. I played WoW for quite a few years. But yeah, this is something new for me.
Yeah, I mean, with it being something new, what would you describe the difference of feel is in playing a role-playing RPG versus...
It's the freedom. It's freedom to be able to do what you want to do, and the only thing that's stopping you is the GM saying you can or you can't do it.
Yeah.
Whereas you're in a computer game situation, you're always limited by what they've programmed in. You can't do just anything you like.
Yeah.
For example, in this game, I decided that I was going to acquire a squirrel, so I acquired a squirrel.
Yeah.
You know, so it's the freedom.
I think you've done very well coming in because you haven't really got a lot of experience with the 40k world
None
previously,
at all.
have you?
None at all, really.
So you've played catch-up quite well and found your own niche in the universe.
Yes.
I mean, and quite a niche that is. Obviously, you mentioned you're a kleptomaniac. Is there anything else that you would say describes your character concept or what she like? Really?
The thing with Gix is that the way I've imagined her, she was... Basically, she brought herself up. She didn't have any parental input. She was an orphan, and therefore her total outlook is to look after herself.
Right.
What's in it for me? If there's nothing in it for Gix, she won't do it. So her total ethos is, and also because she was brought up with nothing, she likes to acquire anything she can pick up. It's almost an unconscious thing that she'll just pick stuff up, because to have stuff when you've had nothing at all, it's just acquisition. She's a bit of a magpie. I think it just makes her interesting.
She's definitely a bit unruly when it comes to dealing with the noble classes as well. That comes.
She has no respect. Because she's never had to think of anyone apart from herself, and therefore has no real concept of the hierarchy that goes on. So she'll just talk to people. She doesn't realise that they're any better or worse than her.
I mean, do you think that this is the sort of class you'd play in other role plays if you played more, or do you mix it up a lot? What's your?
I've always liked rebels. I've always gone for people that don't play by the rules. So I don't know whether I would choose to play another class, or maybe just play a different class in a different way. It's the variation, I think, that's the important thing. I think this is Gix, and therefore she plays this way. Another character would play totally different because they were a different player. They're a different person. Even with my EverQuest characters and my WoW character, I associate very much with them as an individual, and knowing what they like, what they do, what makes them tick, what motivates them.
Have you ever played on roleplay servers?
Yes, but that was full of people talking funny.
It's cyber, isn't it? Too much.
It's well, that, and in EverQuest, I found it was lots of people going on about these and thous, and
right.
It was just. that's not role playing. You've got to role play. You must know who your character is,
Yes.
what motivates them, where they've been, where they're going, what their aspirations are. That's more than giving them a funny voice or what have you. I think that's what really. Why is this person there?
Couldn't agree more. Yeah. I mean, obviously that's how it represents itself through your character. What about your personal philosophy to roleplay? Do you have any personal stance, something of most import? As again, I suppose it's strong character here.
Strong character. Know who your character is. Yeah.
So it's not really a case of like a build that might be strong and win at all costs necessarily.
No.
Or finding the flavour of the month.
I would
like in MMO terms.
No, that was one thing that put me off MMOs. Okay. Was having to play favour of the month. If you, for example, I was in a quite high-end raiding guild in WoW as a hunter, and you will have this spec. This is the DPS spec.
Yeah.
This is what you will do, and it just you get in a gear grind, and you get in a build grind that you have to build in a certain way, and it just takes the fun out of it. I would rather do something in an unconventional fashion, not the same way as everyone else does it.
Completely agree. I remember when I was playing a WoW mage and I was levelling as Arcane because I fancied Arcane, not how powerful it was.
Exactly.
And everyone was calling me stupid. Right.
That's what it's all about. When my EverQuest guild, my first EverQuest guild, there was an accepted route to get to the elemental planes. You did certain things in a certain order. And as a guild, we did it totally... We threw the rulebook out the window. There was no looking up raids beforehand. You went into it cold, no tactic guides.
Wow.
We didn't go through the accepted way, and we got there. And I found a great sense of achievement in stuffing it to the rest of the server. To say, we did it not the way we did it our way. And that's what I really think is... Again, it comes back to being individual, knowing who your character is. And, Gix, I know, for example... upsets Padraig.
Yes.
But that's part of the game. The fact that Gix doesn't care what Padraig thinks. Yeah. As far as she's concerned, all he's doing is stopping her getting on in life. But she's here because she sees that this is the way to make the money to be able to look after herself.
It's fun that they've incorporated into that. The Scum makes no money themselves, so they are just relying on what they can find. They don't get an income. Yeah.
Oh, they do, but it's minute, really. Right. It's not really going to keep you in squirrel food.
We have a number of people watching this playlist because they're either thinking of playing Dark Heresy themselves or just starting out, and so they're following us to see how the other half live. That's why the people tend to be watching this. They want to get a picture of what our characters are like in this group. What would you say sums up Gix? One thing that she hates and one thing that she loves.
She hates rules. She hates rules and regulations. They just slow her down. And one thing she loves is her squirrel.
What would you say to
It's the only thing in her life. It's the only thing that's ever that makes no demands on her. So, that's why she's taken the squirrel on.
What would you say to anyone thinking of
buying a squirrel? Don't ever buy a squirrel. They're not domestic pets.
Thinking about starting Dark Heresy or trying to choose whatever role-play game, what do you think it works like as a system?
I think as a system it's good, but I think it can get bogged down in dice rolls. I think that in some way, for example, in the game we just played, I just shot a shotgun from behind a pillar at a mob that was, not that far away. Okay, they weren't in short range, but they were, and it didn't hit. I mean, it's a shotgun, for crying out loud. It should hit. It might do a reduced damage,
right.
But I think that maybe the reliance on dice rolls, I think, could be a bit too much in some ways. But as a general overall concept, I think it's great. From my little experience of role playing and what have you, it's refreshing not to be in a dungeon with a knight and a cleric and a half elf and an orc and a troll and so in that way it's very different. And I am playing catch up. Like, what the hell's a psycho? What's that do? What's this? So it's not even necessarily the game. It's your character again. It should all be character driven. You've got to get into your character. If you're playing your character right, then as long as you're in something that you relatively are interested in, be it sci-fi, be it traditional D&D or AD&D, whatever. If you're playing your character right, that's how you get the most out of it. Not necessarily the game. It's not necessarily what the rule book says. It's getting into, I think, personally, it's getting into your character and really thinking. It's like Gix. She'll wander around and she'll just pick up things. I'll say to the GM, "Oh, can I have that mousetrap? Can I?" I've just been into an office. I've just taken the stapler off. She doesn't need a stapler. What on earth is she going to do with a stapler? But the whole point of Gix is that she just picks things up.
Yeah. What can you tell us about her background, her history, how she came to be?
She came to be. She's about 25 odd years old. She doesn't know exactly how old she is. So she was brought up in an orphanage. She was thrown out of the orphanage as soon as she was old enough to fend for herself. And she got various jobs scumming around on the streets, whatever she could pick up. She then got a job cleaning in one of the churches. And while she was there, she overheard a conversation about how they were using the choir. They were farming the choir for spare part surgery. And when she took this information to the Archbishop, he tried to rape her. Whereupon she admitted gave him a quick kick in the bollocks and ran to the only person she could trust, which was Potts, the cleric, who bundled her off basically into the depths of space to get her away from the trouble she was in.
Then she found a way into the Inquisition's
via Potts.
cell. Yeah.
Again, because it's a chance for her to make some money.
Unlike some role-playing games where you just end up with, as you said before, the dwarf, the elf, and the players do it to have the class balance.
Yeah.
In this, if you don't have a class balance, it isn't very RP because the Inquisitor wants a nice loaded rolls to complete the missions correctly. So that's why they're employing a scum.
Yes.
So that's quite refreshing, I find, for Heresy. How have you built her mechanically? Talents, skills, and what are you planning to do next?
Talents and skills. I've tried to make her a bit sneaky. I want to make her sneakier. I want to get her to be able to basically lie, cheat, and deceive her way through life. So I'm putting stuff into concealment, silent move, deceive. I've got quite a bit in deceive already, so that basically she can. I want her to be, lying and cheating. So she can lie away out of a situation. She can, if she steals something and Padraig sees her, I want her to be able to deceive him into the fact that she never stole it in the first place, that it wasn't even there. That's the way I want to develop her. And as far as skills are concerned, I would like for her to be highly skilled in close-up daggers, poisons, that sort of thing, and not necessarily so good with ranged weapons. Her favourite gun seems to be a shotgun. So again, that's an up close and personal.
Yeah.
I don't want to weigh her down with lots of weapons, lots of exotic weapons. I think she's going to be quite a travel light sort of person. She's going to carry the same gun for a long time until she finds one that suits her. She carries a stiletto for up close personal stab, and I don't see her doing a great, lots of different weapons and lots of detail to the weapon. I think she's going to want to carry a shotgun because she can get shells for it wherever she is. They don't cost a hell of a lot of money, and it's got a good stopping power. Yeah, the stiletto is the same. It's a stab in the ear and mesh someone's brain up, and that's it. She's quite a simple girl at heart.
That's good. Even the weapon choices portray from the characterisation. So I can see you're doing it there as well.
Yeah.
How do you think the group in game gels as a group of players, which is perhaps more important than
I think they gel quite well, actually. I quite like the way that Potts, for example, solves just about any problem he comes up with by hitting it with a hammer. I've played characters that are just like a bull in a china shop before, and they're fun to play.
Yeah.
Just run at a door and hit it. What the heck?
Yeah.
Let's not have any finesse about it. Padraig, he's. I don't like the fact that he's always on my case, but I do from a role-playing side of it. That makes it interesting for me and for him. And your character's a bit of a dark horse. He's a bit strange, He's a bit of a. I see him as like you say, as damaged goods, and therefore he's not really focusing within the group. He's operating within a set of system parameters that he's been given. And he's not really a group player. He's there because he's been told to play. He's almost like an automata in some ways.
Yeah, I see him like the clone trooper, and any moment he might get Order 66 to kill the rest of the group.
And that's it. And he won't think twice about it.
Yeah.
So therefore, he's not really part of the group as such because he's not there for any human reason. Mm-hmm. He's there because he has to be there.
Is there anything you'd like to add, or?
Always have a squirrel for a pet. No, I'm just having a ball because it's all new to me. So it's great fun. Yeah.
Glad to hear it.
That's it. Bye-bye.